Hey you! Today we have a brand new Figma figure for you, and this is Genji from the OverWatch series. So looks like I'm collecting these guys. So let's have a look. We've got a lovely white display here. We have the window where we can see Genji. I would have thought his head would have been straight on, not kind of. So we can see his weapons. We see Genji there. And then we have all the different poses that you can put him in. I'm wondering if I can put him in that pose. That's going to be fun. Then we have Genji there. Back to the front. At the top, Genji. At the bottom, the same picture of him. So let's open this bad boy and have a look inside. So inside the box, you have Genji, you have his swords. You also get kind of like an extra pack, which is pretty much just like his shurikens, his throwing hand. Okay, so that's cool. I think that's all you get. So, you know, you kind of think why they've got this and then why they got that. Well, that's the kind of like slot in at the back. You kind of think they would have had something there to kind of play with. So yeah, it looks kind of cool. So let's all have a look inside. And here is Genji. I generally really like the look and design of this Figma. I think this possibly would be one of my favorites just because he looks like something out of Metal Gear Rising, or it looks like mech based, slightly bit like Iron Man. But I think this entire figure looks really cool. I really like his helmet. It kind of reminds me very similar to, again, Metal Gear Solid. It could be Raiden or it could be the ninja. Hence, he is a ninja. But I love the kind of the browns or grayish compared to like the cream as well as the green and silver. I really like this kind of like chest plate here as well as like where this place comes down. You can see that it's actually in the neck as well. So if we adjust the helmet, you can see it, like the grey just underneath there. I really like the fact that they've gone to town on this to really make it pop like the figure, or like the character, should I say. I love these sorts of armored plated here and here. And again, I'm not too happy the way that the ball joints are exposed, but it works really, really well. I also really like the sword that you get. When we look back at that one, it has a ball joint, which is absolutely fantastic. But the greens, the slight greens, really kind of make this figure stand out. Here's slightly on a slant, but there we go. So that's 10 times better. I really like this lower part here because again, it still reminds me of like a robot, like a droid, like a assault person that would kill people in the game. Again, like when we look at the ball joints and the elbow joints, it works really well. It blends in with this figure. And also like smallest detail like the triangle there and triangle there as well. That really makes it for me because it's generally like a really nice figure. No, I can't stand up. When we look at the side, we have the circular motions there, the cylinders there and there. And again, the green works really well. Even if we just adjust near his cod piece, we have like the small little details just there as well, which really kind of make this figure stand out. When we look at the hands, again, they remind me of something like maybe from Super Sentai, Power Rangers, or even again, Metal Gear. They're on both sides there. They have like the lines as well that kind of really go in, and obviously the grey works really, really well with it. When we come down to the next part of the figure, I really like this. I really like this joint up going up here. Almost looks like it's connecting there. This really kind of reminds me of like Zone of the Enders as well as like most of the Iron Man figures. But I really like the fact that you've got like little indents there, that they really put the sort of time and effort into actually making the figure stand out with detail. When we come down to his shoes, I actually really like this because normally I don't really show the bottom of the Figma feet, but I really like the fact you've got the two bumps here. It's not just like flat. It actually feels like one of those, like, it reminds me of like Japanese shoes, like where they wear them for special ceremonies or when entering the temples. Looking at the back of the shoes, I really like the green. These really stand out. So I don't know what they do in Overwatch. I don't know if they give them a special ability or if it's just for aesthetics, but it really kind of stands out, and they're a lot of a darker green than they are on the camera, but it does look really cool. When we come up here to the kind of the back of the legs to the cast, we see that you've got the extra like kind of cylinders that they've placed in, and the kind of the joints here, they blend well, and obviously the sort of slight detail like this is completely carved out, which I think is kind of cool. So if I would have left, or I probably would have thought it'd be cool if these had like the remaining parts, so when you bend the legs they kind of go in together to kind of form a full part. but the way that they've sculpted it is fine. And even when we come up to just underneath his bum, the grey works fine, like it's just copying his buttocks. So I'm going to do this all in one rather than two separate parts to his head. Now, I'm not a huge fan of his kind of hair coming out. I don't know why it was put in the game, but I don't kind of like it. I would have probably taken that out and just had his head because it looks a lot better to me. I really like the detail on his blade with the handles here. You can see this etched into it and it looks proper. So they've not kind of smoothed it out. They've really taken their time with it. You've got the green little part. Again, they could have left that out, but they've added it in. At the back of his kind of like shoulders, you've got the kind of more detail that actually makes the figure stand out. We can move this up and down, so you can pose it in many different ways. So if we move it out of the way, you can see more of the sword in the sheath. And again, it can move around, which, so if you wanted to adjust it, you could do. And again, same here. You can move them up and down. And that to me is going like above and beyond the actual detail. So I'm guessing you can probably take it out. So I'll have a look at the instructions. They give the figure something extra to look at. And when you look down at his kind of his neck piece as well, that looks absolutely fine. And again, like along the head here, there's more detail to it. So this is a really well made figure so far. Let's have a look at the stress test. Now, this is a lot easier than say Seto Kaiba was when we looked at the ball joint. It feels like that you can just move it up and down. It does kind of click, so I don't know if that means that you can properly pose him. It's not on this. Oh, it's slightly on this one. You can't move the foot around, which is a bit of a shame, but to be honest, it's fine. I know, I like this. This looks really cool, and I'm so glad that it's part of it because it really brings out more of the muscle definition, which is absolutely fine. You can put it up there, as I said, so it's kind of really cool that you can adjust it. So it just looks really cool. It does generally, to me, remind me of something like from the Zone of the Enders. We can move the leg around, so you can pose it, but you can't put it in like a circle. So we know that the joints here has completely changed in there, so you can move it around if you want to. Next we have the arm, which can turn all the way around, like so. But once you have to get it in the right position, otherwise it kind of doesn't move. So you have to have this part, if you can see it, the kind of like the open part to actually switch down, so you can do it. Don't kind of force it if it doesn't work. Just take your time, because if you push it down, you could snap it. Same thing as we do here. You've got to make sure that's at the bottom part, up and down. So then you've got the head that kind of, it can't move all the way around, I don't think. So no, it kind of stops when you've got the neck part there. So it's not too bad. I'm just kind of annoyed that that doesn't move now, so I've got to kind of adjust it. So if you want to kind of keep it there, then just make sure that you hold this part here down, and then make sure you kind of twist it about, and just kind of take your time. So I've moved it back there. It doesn't take too long, but just generally take your time. I don't particularly want you guys to come back to the video and go, oh my god, it's broken because you didn't do it well, or anything like that. So disclaimer and things. So the hands move around like so, and again the hands move around. So, ooh, no, yeah, it does move. It just got a little bit stiff there. Now, one thing I did read is that when you're coming to take out the sword, like if you want them to hold it, you take that out, and again when you bring this round, I think it's that side as well. So when he holds his sword, you can actually make sure it isn't kind of stuck in there, which I think is a really cool, cool thing to actually add in. Now, when adding and playing with the figure, these are some of the things that you get. It's kind of like shuriken attack hands or whatever they are, but it kind of gives it a little bit kind of more playability, kind of like more something slightly different. Again, if you know what they are, I'm guessing that they're just his shurikens that he just generally throws. But when adding something like that, kind of really works. And then kind of adding something different. So I'm guessing that you can pose his hand and then kind of bring it up, so it looks like he is kind of throwing them. So just be careful, because you don't want to put too much pressure on this so it breaks. So, you know, obviously you can have him like kind of posing, looking up, but just like adding something like that really kind of adds to the actual figure itself, and actually kind of makes it look different. And also when you add in, like, say, the swords, sword is absolutely beautiful. I really like this. The blade itself, the green, not so much with the little katana or what it is, but the main sword looks absolutely fantastic. I kind of wish that they did an SPD Doggy Kruger or Shadow Ranger sword, because that would go perfectly for this one, or even a figure arts for that. So I like that. So let's have a look at some of the different poses that you can have with him. So Rangers, there is Genji. He looks absolutely fantastic. I really like the design of the figure. The only really downside to this is I tried it in the different positions on the box, but either they photoshopped him or they have a very looser model or something completely different. But this was harder to pose in his like ninja mode, like where he's like crouched down quite lowly. But to be honest, like this pose is quite easy. It's not like the one on the box, but at least it looks slightly different, and I kind of like that in the figure. The figure is very posable, it moves, and it's easy to access certain things, like moving his arms about quite a lot. You can easily, as he falls down, like attaching the stand was quite easy enough, so you can like add more to it if you wanted to. This is a really nice figure from the Overwatch range. I would highly recommend it if you're going to be getting him. Only because if you like Overwatch, this would be a perfect figure to actually own. I'm going to be collecting all of them. I generally like the look of the figures. So Rangers, what are your thoughts on Genji? Do you like the look of him? Do you think that he's easy enough to pose? Do you think that this is a figure that you would collect, or would you kind of skip over? Let me know it down below in the comments. And if you've liked this video, like, favorite, comment, and consider subscribing. Check out all the other videos on the channel if you want to help out the channel on Patreon. Link is in the description down below. And as always, Rangers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.